Jenna Bass, the young director behind Love the One You Love, is joining me in studio. She's going to introduce us to her award-winning film that you can see on September 18th. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm very good.
Good.
Now, Love the One You Love. Tell me about it.
Well, it's a film I made starting in 2013, and we shot in 2013. Took a year to edit the film, and it premiered last year in Durban, and as you mentioned, won some awards. It's a film that we made with really, really little resources. I did a lot of the things myself. We had very little money. I worked mainly with my friends, kind of shooting, kind of guerrilla filmmaking all over the city of Cape Town. And it's about a couple who start to suspect that their love is the subject of a conspiracy, so there are forces at work to keep them in this relationship, even though they're kind of wanting to kind of grow apart and separate.
Okay, introduce us. It follows three characters, hey?
Yeah, so there's the couple's one story, and then there's a parallel story of a lonely IT technician called Eugene, who's played by amazing Afrikaans actor called Lafenta, who is obsessed with his ex-girlfriend and can't get over her. So he performs this kind of weird and kind of unhealthy friendship with her little brother as a way of kind of keeping in touch with her and kind of investigating, like trying to basically find the proof that she was wrong to leave him several years before.
Why create this film? What inspired it?
Well, I had been trying for a really long time to make a film following kind of traditional structures, writing a script, getting a producer and financing, and just leaving film school. That was kind of like my priority, was to make my first feature film. And despite having a lot of really great opportunities and lucky breaks and doing everything what I thought was the right way, it was just not happening. And it kind of just came down to this fact that people would, financiers and producers, they would love the script and they thought they might like me as well as a person, but I hadn't made a feature film, so I was kind of a risk. But it was, of course, this catch-22 that I couldn't prove to them I'd made a feature film. I could make one until I'd made one. So eventually I decided that I had to make one no matter what with what I had and the kind of people that I knew, and I would have to conceptualize what that film could be. And I knew I had Cape Town, and I knew I had some wonderful friends who were actors, and I essentially wrote these characters for them. Chimende plays a phone sex line operator, and not that she's really a phone sex line operator, but I wrote that character for her, and Andile Nebulane plays this kind of guy who works in a dog shelter, and the two of them in this relationship. And I think it's kind of a result of like wanting to look at the way that we cling to ideals that often make us very unhappy when they don't align with reality, and whether that's love or soulmates or happiness or truth or the Rainbow Nation, whatever those may be, kind of trying to see past the cliches and the ideals and the illusions and see, what we really have around us.
Tell me about writing the character of a phone sex operator.
That was really interesting, actually. So the whole film is improvised, so there is no script. So it wasn't kind of traditionally like I had to kind of go and do that research and then write dialogue that I thought would be right. So in many of the cases in the film, people who played the roles of like professional people, like there's a private investigator in the film, there's a sangoma in the film, and a magician, and those are all people who really do those things as their job, and they've never necessarily acted before, they kind of just appear in the film. But Chimende has not been a phone sex line operator, so I said to her, I think you should try call some of them and see how that goes, and it was quite an adventure for her. I mean, I didn't research myself, but I thought it was really important that she actually had, she had that experience, and she knew what it sounded like. And actually it was really crazy. I mean, she got some really strange comments from, people who I think thought that, like mainly used to men phoning phone sex lines, and then finding out she was a woman and being very freaked out by that. And then she got involved into this, I don't know, it was actually on Carte Blanche a little while ago, not this particular story, but there was a whole kind of blackmail scam phone sex line thing going on, where people they would kind of charge you exorbitant amounts of money and then blackmail the client who'd phoned into paying this money, and she got embroiled in all that, and it was quite crazy. But I think she feels like it was worthwhile, because I mean she does a great job in the film.
Now tell me about doing a film completely based on improv. That must have been scary.
It was, especially because I've never done improv before. It wasn't something I'd been trained in, or like, I mean, I read books and stuff, and one of my favorite filmmakers is a British filmmaker called Mike Leigh, who doesn't use improv in his actual shooting, but uses it as a big part of his process. So I'd been really intrigued by it, but I'd never really learned it or been trained, taught how to do it. But It was really, essentially, I think if you're going to do it, you really need a lot of rehearsal and you really need a lot of time, and those are two things we didn't have. So it was a very stupid idea to do it, and it should not have worked. I often am amazed that it did, but I think it really goes to show like what a wonderful cast I had and how, you know, trusting they were of me and the situation, and that this was all going to be worthwhile, that they could take a risk and be really open, and which you have to be with improv, because the second you're not, it shows immediately. And I think that's what contributes a lot to the really amazing performances in the film and the dialogue, is that it doesn't feel like, I think, a lot of the kind of South African script writing we see, because it isn't, I mean, it isn't script writing, but the words are just like kind of crackling, and they just like, you know, kind of fly around, and they like really, it's got this sense of immediacy, which is really wonderful, and the sense of unpredictability, because I didn't really know what was going to happen, the actors didn't know really what was going to happen, and I think that, again, that shows, which is like life, we don't know what's going to happen on a daily, you know, like on a minute by minute basis.